Hello and welcome to Power System Analysis 2. We'll talk about Module 1, Module 1.4. Okay, in this topic we'll talk about load flow problems. We have been talking about the bus incidence matrix and how this Y bus matrix is formed. Now we are going to find out the power transfer between the buses. Okay, now before we start we need to first understand the different parameters or the different variables. Okay, so this is the load flow problem. We are talking about the complex power. Now imagine this complex power is given by this variable called SI. That complex power is a complex sum of the real power P and reactive power Q. Now this I indicates that it is we are talking about the ith bus or the ith node in case of a circuit. So what this is ith node. The ith node can be the first node, second node, third node. Let's say there are 50 nodes, 500 nodes or 5000 buses. So this I will take any one of those values. When I talk about S1, we are talking about the first node. The power transfer, the total apparent power transfer S at node 1 is would be equal to the complex sum of the real and reactive power. Now this total apparent power is given by the product of the voltage at the node and the complex conjugate of the current injected in the node. Remember we talked about J as the current source. So here we have, let's say we have a current injected in the node. That means we have a current source that is pointed towards the node. We will take its complex conjugate, okay, its complex conjugate and multiply with the voltage. Okay, now this is the equation you should keep in mind. This is the basic equation. Now this is given by Vi is the voltage at the ith bus with respect to the ground, and Gi is the source current injected into the bus. Okay, so that is that J. Now this is that equation that is being put here. Okay, that is Pi. Okay, now what is this equation? Now why do we have this conjugate? If we use the J conjugate, V into J conjugate, we will have the equation as Pi plus JQi. But if we have the V conjugate into J, okay, you will have P plus minus JQi. Now you might ask, sir, why is not V into J? Now if remember, V and J both here are complex numbers. If we multiply V into J, we will not get P plus JQi. I want you to try it. Consider P to be a complex, Q to be a complex, and you multiply these. Let's say V take V2 as a complex. Let's say A plus JB, and J to be a complex. Let's say X plus JY. Okay, you multiply these two. Now you will see what are you getting here. In the discussion class we'll be discussing about this if you still have a problem. Okay, now we'll continue with this. Now if we substitute for every Ji is the product of Yik and Vk. Now this Yik and Vk, that equation was taken care in the previous discussion classes. So the total current injected is the sum of the is equal to the sum of the product of voltage across the branch into the admittance of the branch. Okay, please go through it. So if we replace this ji here, we will have p plus p minus jq into v star into this one. Now again, you might not get confused. First I have said it like this. Now you are using I am replacing I am using the equation where we have a v star. Now just one more reminder, v into j star is p plus jq. Now but we are replacing j with a different equation, so rather making the equation complicated, we use v star into j, and the equation we will write the equation as p minus jq. So p minus jq equal to v star into the summation that is obtained from this equation. So this is one of the equation. Now slowly you will understand how difficult and complex the equation becomes for the power system. But remember, this same equation is valid for your circuit analysis also. But since you have a small number of nodes, you are not bothered with these values. But when you have the high number of nodes, then you have no way other than using in terms of matrix. Now here the real power is nothing but the real part of this right hand side, that is, this is the real power, and the reactive power is nothing but minus of, because we have a minus here, minus of the imaginary part of this equation. So these two equations are very important. These becomes the core equation for the load flow problem. Okay. Now here both that v and y are complex, so we represent v and y in terms of polar format, or any other format you can, complex format you can use, but polar format because we are multiplying, so polar format is essential, is useful. Okay, so in terms of in the v, we can represent it as v into e to the power j delta, that is v is at an angle of delta, and y is equal to the magnitude of y into e to the power j theta, that is y is at an angle of theta. If you want detailed classes on complex numbers, you can tell me, I will take extra classes on that, but as of now you have to bear with this one. If you are still having doubts, please let me know. Okay, so this becomes the load flow problem. These are the two equations to be solved. Okay, now just from the previous equation, this is for a single bus. Okay, now this is for a multiple bus. Now where are we getting this delta ik theta theta ik, delta k and delta I? This is the pi, that is the now just understand this, yik is in terms of this, vik is in terms of this. You put the value of v and put the value of y, so you have these and these together, so this angle will add up. You remember, when complex numbers multiply, the angles add up, so your delta I and theta k are adding up. Okay, delta I and theta k is adding up. Now why it is, now you have to understand this one. You have also the v here. Okay, so you solve, if you add all this equation, you have delta ik, that is from the yik, plus vk from this delta vk minus delta I. That what does it mean? This is the, now if you look at this equation, what do you understand from it, that you have to see. You have, after replacing all the values of vi here, remember these are v, when replacing this here, you have Yik and Vk being replaced. You have Yik and Vk being replaced by this kind of formation. Okay. Now what happens is that here it is V star. V star, what happens? V star will be also in this format, but since if you have a star, you will have a minus in the delta. Hence here we have, you see, this and this both are plus, delta theta ik plus delta k minus of delta I. Now understand this, the real power at I, that is real power that is injected inside a node, that is entering a node, is obtained by the voltage, the magnitude of the voltage at the node into all the sums of the other node, these are the voltages at other nodes, okay, connected to I, and Yik is the Yik is the admittance that is connected between I and K. Okay, so this becomes the real power equation, and similarly we will have a reactive power equation. We have this negative sign because we have taken P minus jQi. These are called the static load flow equation. Now what is the static load flow equation? We are considering now power system is a dynamic one. Every time some voltage load falls off or load is increased, so the angle, voltage, everything changes. It changes within seconds, okay, or even lesser than that. This equation is a snapshot, okay, it's a snapshot of the movement of the or the dynamics of the power system. Load flow problem is a static, load flow calculation is a static calculation. It is for a particular time instant. What happens at this instant, that you are find out. Okay. Now we will talk about different buses before we go to the load flow problem. So remember, this is the basic load flow equation that is needed to be solved. Now you can understand how the problem with you will see this equation will become a non-linear equation and cannot be solved easily. So in order to simplify, we classify different nodes or different buses. Okay, so first bus is called the PQ bus. So at this bus the net powers P and Q are known, that is the demand at this buses, okay, and the generated at this buses, the generation at this bus. Okay, so what is P, I and Q? It is generation minus the demand. Got it? P and Q are the powers that are injected inside the bus. What does the generator do? It injects power inside the bus. What demands do? It takes out power from the bus. So what is P and Q? It is Pg minus Pd, and Q is Qd minus Qg. Okay. Now here these P and Q are known. How are known? They are known because these buses have generators connected to these buses, so we know the power that is injected by the generator. Also from the load forecasting, that means what is the demand from those buses, we can find out the PD, and hence subtracting these we get Pi and Qi. So you can say what is the power injected in the buses. Here the unknowns are V, the voltage we are not aware, and the angle delta we are not aware. So here I should mention here that in order to solve the load flow problem, there are 4 variables to be solved: P, Q, V and delta. For the different classification of buses, any 2 of them are known, the other 2s are unknown. Okay. So you have so this is the PQ bus, where this only P and Q are known, V and delta are unknown. So with a pure load bus, if it is a pure load bus that there is no generator bus, PG and QG are 0. Okay. So here PQ bus we are known, P and Q are only known. Next is the PV bus. PV bus is also called the generator bus, voltage control bus. That means that at this level in the PQ bus, the voltage we are unaware of the voltage, we know the power injected. Okay, but in the PV we are aware of the voltage. Okay, we know that the power, real power P and the voltage. Q and delta we do not know. So at this type of bus, the demand is known from the demand in this bus is unknown, and V, the voltage at the bus, and PI is known. Okay, the unknowns are that is the injected reactive power and delta. The next bus is called the slack or swing bus or the reference bus. It is similar to your reference node. Okay, this bus is distinguished from the other two types by the fact that the real and the reactive power at these buses are not specified. Instead, the voltage magnitude and the phase angle, which are normally set to 0, are specified. Normally there is only one bus of this type in a given power system. So this is nothing but your reference node you have been using in your node analysis, remember. So here also in the bus, one bus is taken as the node, as this reference bus or the slack bus, or we term it as a swing bus. What is its property? Okay, the property is that the power, reactive power, is not known. The voltage and the angle is known, and it is basically set to 1 pu voltage and at an angle 0 degree. Okay. Now we will talk about why do we need the swing bus. So in a load flow study, real and reactive powers, that are complex powers, cannot be fixed at a priori, that means beforehand, at all the buses, as the net complex power flow into the network is not known in advance. The system power loss being unknown till the load flow study is complete. So since the total power flow is not known, one bus should be there to we cannot know every power transfer in every node, because this equation is non-linear. In order to adjust our equation, one bus should be there to compensate that. Okay, so it is therefore necessary to have one bus, that is a slack bus, at which complex power is unspecified, so that it supplies the difference in the total system load plus the losses and the sum of the complex power specified at the remaining buses. Okay, so what that is the same thing which I have told you. A slack bus should have the reference bus, which we cannot mention its power. Okay, because when we solve the system, in order to solve the equation, one bus is kept there in order so that it supplies the difference of the power that is created in the solution. Okay, and one more notice that the slack bus must be a generator bus. That means it should contain a generator. Okay, because in order to balance all the loads, this is the important bus. Okay, in order to solve the problem, one bus should be there, which is should be as a reference, and that should be a generator bus. Now we'll talk about the practical limits of this. Now this load flow equation, load flow problem is only for a case where it is under a particular limits. So these limits should be talked previously, because this load flow equation is not valid for any unusual cases like faults. Okay, but you have a fault, it's a totally different way of solving if it is only for the cases where it is working normally. Okay, so first the voltage must lie within limits. So let's say you get a solution where the voltage is very high. In one of the buses you found out the voltage is very high or the voltage is very low. That solution cannot be taken as a solution for the load flow. Now you have to understand, before this you need to understand how this complex equations are solved. Complex equations are solved not by, like, you cannot solve it directly by equation. You cannot solve it. These cannot be solved. These are basically solved by trial and error. We talk in the scientific format, we talk it as an iteration. What happens is that we assume a value and we check whether this value is matching it or not. Now you find out the answer and you see that whether this answer is okay or not. If you find this answer is too much, we change the initial value and again we try it. So with this trial and error, some value we find that okay, that this value we think that this might work, so that becomes a solution. So for that case, our checks are these. If one of the voltages in one of the buses for a particular solution is beyond a particular limit, then we have to discard the solution. So the power system equipment is designed to operate at a fixed voltage and allow 5 to 10% of the rated voltage. So you can allow a difference of 5 to 10%, not more than that. Okay, even the delta, okay, that should be within a certain limit. This constant limit, the maximum permissible power angle. So delta is the power angle of the transmission line connecting the bus I and K, is imposed by consideration of the system stability. If you remember the swing equation, in the swing equation the delta comes into picture. Okay, so that we cannot allow delta to be a large value, then it will be a problem in the stability. If the delta is such that the power is at the peak, remember in the swing equation, if the power we found out to be at the peak, then it is very, very dangerous. We cannot allow that solution to work with. Okay. Now, owing to the physical limitation of P or Q generation, this generated value, the PGI and QGI, should be also in limits. Okay. We cannot, now let's say we got a solution that this amount of power, if this amount of power is generated at this bus, then the equation stands. But we find out that the generator placed connected to that bus do not have that amount of resources, or it is not rated to that amount of power. Again, the solution is rejected. Okay, so but the total generation, okay, of the real and reactive power must be equal to the demand and losses. That means this is the energy conservation. You have to understand that whatever solution you might do, this should be maintained, that the total generated should be the total demand plus total load. Till now there is no way of storing power. Okay, so since this is the drawback of electrical system, that it is not easy or practically not possible to store power. So whatever the power is generated should be taken as a load and the rest as a losses. Okay, so these are the practical limit of the power system. So this is the end of the lecture. If you have any doubts, please call me or message me, and hopefully I'll take one more discussion classes on this. So by that time, just go through it. Okay, thank you so much.